What's up, y'all? We're back out here at the range to start off what should be a really nice day for some testing out here. Got a few little clouds burning off back there. Temperatures right now a little bit chilly in the 40s, but we're supposed to be in the high 50s by the time I'm done out here. So as you can see, it's t-shirt weather out here, which I'm definitely glad to see. So I've got us a few good ones lined up for today. We're gonna start things out with some more of that new JHP Blazer, this time in 9mm. So we got the jelly contraption set up ready to go with a couple of chronos and two fresh blocks of gel. Nothing done in these yet, so you get a really nice clear picture. Like always, I've got the heavy clothing barrier on the front that's got the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And once again, we've got some of these new CCI Blazer JHPs. Now, you know, I just tested the 10mm. They did a great job just weak for 10mm. I mean, there was no surprise right there. So I expect some pretty good things out of this 9mm right here. Now, it's not the spiciest thing in the world. It's just standard pressure. This is the 115 grain. Ballistics on the site was saying 1145 feet per second, so you're talking about a little over 300 foot-pounds. Now, I didn't see any kind of test barrel there, so I'm assuming it's 4.5, 5 inches. Here's a look at your cartridge brass case. Now, I will say this projectile design looks a little different than the 10mm. Now, obviously, it's smaller, but just overall, the cavity inside looks built a little bit different, and it looks like there's a little more going on as far as the jacket being inserted into the lid inside there. But who knows if that means anything or is going to equal some good performance. I mean, if it's halfway decent, a 115 9mm, that's not really hard to get right. There are tons and tons of good options out there for 115, which kind of leads me to the question on this that I have. Even if it does well, is this really something that you would consider a budget choice right here? I mean, it was like 35, 37 bucks, something like that, I believe it was. So, I mean, I've seen deals on what I would consider better stuff for the same or less. But anyway, we're going to see what it does out here in a couple different barrel lengths. As usual, for the short one, I've got the Canik Mete MC9 with the 3.1 inch barrel. And then for the longer one, we've got the G17 here with the 4.5 inch barrel. So this ought to be another pretty interesting one. If I'm guessing, I'm going to say it's probably going to do fine as far as performance. 115 grain standard pressure 9. We're probably going to see some good expansion and 12, 14 inches of penetration, something like that. But let's get all this stuff set up and find out what happens. All right, let's check some numbers on this stuff. I'm gonna do a 5-round average through each barrel length, starting with the MC9 first. Now, remember, they're saying 1145, didn't say barrel length, so we'll see what we get from what we got out here. But if y'all not familiar with this radar, you're gonna see multiple velocity readings, the large numbers at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one there is set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then I've got the other set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. Well, let's see what we get from this shorter barrel. I certainly don't expect to see that 1145 here, but see what happens. 1088, 1077, 1079, 1111, and 1077 again. So pretty consistent, it seemed like. Let's check out this average. All right, so our 5-round average right there was 1087, so definitely not the 1145. That's probably about right, though. They probably got it out of a 4.5 inch, 5 inch barrel. Extreme spread right there was 34 with a 14.5 standard deviation, so not quite as consistent as I thought. Not bad at all out here for whatever conditions we're in. 1087 with 115 grain projectile. I mean, that's way weaker than I want for sure, but it's probably still enough to get that 115 to expand if it's a halfway decent round. But let's get it reset and see what the longer barrel does. All right, let's see what we get from this 4.5 inch barrel. My guess, based on what we saw right there, we'll probably hit that 1145 right here. It'll be very close. We had 1111 high on that shorter barrel, so we should be all over that 1145 right here. 1170 more. 1152. 1152 again. 1170. and 1147, so hit it with every one of them. So I'm guessing that's probably more like 4-inch where they got that from, probably G19. Let's check out this average. All right, better velocity and consistency right there from the longer barrel. We had a 5-round average of 1158 FPS. Extreme spread that time dropped to 23 with an 11.1 standard deviation. So all around better in that longer barrel, which is obviously no surprise. 1158 right there, and if you remember, I had the shorter barrel. It was 1087, so that's what, 71 feet per second faster with that extra barrel. So that's a pretty significant difference if you ask me. I mean, that's creeping up on 10% right there. All that being said, again, if these are halfway decent projectiles, they should still do fine. The G17, I don't think there's any question that's going to do fine, but as far as the shorter barrel, I mean, that's pretty weak, honestly, for a 115, but maybe we'll still get some good results from it. Let's get this all set up, and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's I'll still take Blazer over a Taser jelly time. I'm gonna put one through each barrel length into the gel, starting with this MC9 first. This is the one I'm definitely the most iffy on right here. If this does well, I mean, it's pretty much a given that the G17 will. All right, that was perfectly placed, but I'm seeing a long disruption down there. Let me go check it out. And that right there is what you call absolute garbage of a round. Absolute garbage down there. I've been trying to give us stuff the benefit of the doubt. The 10 was incredibly weak. I mean, absolutely pitiful weak for 10 mil. This stuff is trash. I mean, this stuff is absolute trash. Well, let's see if this G17 does anything. This might, but I've really got my doubts after seeing that right there. I mean, that's another long line. I hope that didn't come out, but I'm pretty sure it went way far like the other one. Let's go check this out. All right, let's check out what we got down here, y'all. That one from the G17 actually popped out the side. You may be able to see it in the footage. I hadn't edited this yet, so I'm not sure. But it popped out and fell right down here at the bottom. So it was at the end of its travel, no energy left. So I didn't bother sending another one because this is already goofing my next test up or my following test up. So I think that's completely valid. If it makes you feel better to add another ½ inch, go for it. But once you see the projectile, I'm sure you'll agree that was what it was supposed to be. Long story short here, I still think this is junk. I still think this stuff's junk. Now, did you get what they claimed you were going to get? With this velocity, you'll see here, you really got what they claimed you were going to get at the stated velocity, but is that anything to brag about? I mean, it's just pitiful performance. The short barrel did absolutely nothing. You can see straight line all the way through 32 inches of gel. So we've seen, I mean, countless 9 mil that the short barrel was absolutely no problem. So this is one of those cases where I'd like to say you get what you pay for, but you really can't hardly even say that because it's, in my opinion, again, it's not that much of a budget and you're really not even getting much performance at all to speak of. But anyway, up here on the top, of course, that was the one through the MC9. As you can see, comes in here, you got a little disruption, but that's just because you got a projectile going through here. Through this entire first block, didn't look like any kind of tumbling took place. Into this second block, definitely a total straight line all the way through this second block and straight out the other end. Now the G17 is a different story. This one you can see comes in, definitely more disruption, so you can tell immediately it did start expanding here. That extra velocity would be my guess. Comes through here again all the way through this first block. This one goes into the second block right about 2 inches, I would say, before it pops out. And again, as you can see, it does have some nice expansion to go with that. But as far as the penetration measurement, again, no need to measure the MC9. It cleared 32 inches of gel, so crazy over penetration right there. As far as the G17, you actually got exactly 18.5 inches, and you can see where it popped out. So there's absolutely no doubt it got all of its momentum right there before it came out, because you can see it actually popped out on a rebound. I'll show you from above. So here's your close-up look. As you can see, definitely a visible difference in that disruption. The top one obviously had no kind of expansion. on through the first block here, both of them into the second block. Right there is where the G17 went out, and then back up to the MC9. You can probably barely see it. I mean, it's just such a thin little straight line and straight out the end. And then on the top view here, the main thing I want to show you is down there on the bottom. That's that G17. If you follow it on through here again into the second block, and then hopefully you can see what I mean. It actually popped out the side on the rebound. You can see where its forward momentum stopped, and then it rebounded and probably had some turbulence and popped right on out the side. All right, let's check out this one little lonely projectile here. As you can see, it did expand. Now, it didn't get anything award winning as far as expansion, but that's just because it's low velocity. I mean, let's just be honest, it's pretty low velocity for a 115.9. Now, it's right there in standard pressure 9mm, and again, it did a good job. I mean, this did a nice job right here. Plenty of expansion in my book. Nice job in the gel here, nice penetration, low velocity and low energy though. There's absolutely no doubt about that. So in no way would I go for this, because again, I mean, they call it budget, or a lot of people out there call it budget, and they use that excuse down in the comments. Well, you're expecting such and such from a budget, from a range round, but it's not priced that way. It's just not. I mean, you can really get much better stuff for lower cost. But let's take a couple measurements on them. It started at 115, and this one's actually at 116.0, so definitely no loss right there. And then as far as expansion size, again, you're not gonna win any awards, but you did get plenty in my opinion. You got 503 and 506, so again, even expansion, nothing huge, but nice even expansion. And I was getting ready to measure the second one, but obviously there ain't no second one to measure. So there you go, y'all, the CCI Blazer JHP in 9mm. Nothing at all impressive right here. In my opinion, this is just a fail. I know it met the performance when it had the velocity that they claim it was tested at, but we have seen countless 9mm, even 124, not to even mention a lightweight 115 like this. I mean, it is incredibly easy to get a good performing 115 9mm. So the fact that this stuff couldn't get it done through the short barrel, in my opinion, just makes this stuff a failure. All right, y'all, I'm gonna call it right there for a pretty disappointing test to start out the day. Not only did it turn in some pretty pitiful performance, but it goofed up my block down there at the other end, so it's gonna throw a kink in things for my third test. But as far as this stuff right here goes, again, in my opinion, this is a failure. I know it performed fine out of that G17 and did what it was supposed to do. Still just low velocity and energy, especially for a 115. There are just way better rounds out there for lower cost than this stuff right here. So as far as it calling itself a budget round, to me, that's just really not the case. And either way, you're just not getting anything that I personally feel like is worth it. But let me know down in the comments what y'all think about it. Any of y'all out there have some of this 9mm new JHP Blazer stuff? What do you think about it? Do you consider it a budget option compared to other stuff in your area? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. If you enjoyed the video, take a second and hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so hopefully you get notified when I upload stuff. Big thanks once again to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got a couple more tests planned for out here today. Hopefully I'll still be able to get that third one done, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.